The story of intersectionality begins in 1976. A group of black women in America decide to go for trial against a big car company, General Motors. They think they are discriminated against based on the fact they are black women. During this trial, General Motors argues that they are not racist because they actually employ black men in their factory floor, therefore they can't be racist. They also argue that they are not sexist because they employ white women as secretaries. And based on that argument, they actually win the trial, but it's not the end of the story. Then, in 1989, a scholar, a black female legal scholar called Kimberly Crenshaw, reviewed the case and argues that actually those women are faced discrimination based on their intersecting identity. So they didn't face like just racism, they also faced sexism at the same time. So Kimberly Crenshaw coined the term intersectionally at that time to reflect the fact that you can face discrimination not only because one part of your identity, but because of multiple parts of your identity intersecting with each other. So the intersectional experience is greater than the sum of just racism and sexism, and that's very important when we think about intersectionality. But in practical terms, using an intersectional lens really helps us to create more inclusive spaces and inclusive practices, and that's what we explore during these 3 workshops. And the rest of the videos will provide you more understanding about the journey that the participants have been going through.
So intersectionality is a social theory, and essentially it comes down to, or at least my understanding is that it comes down to the different elements that make up a person's identity and applying that as a lens in a way where you can look at the barriers that people face and certain discrimination that might be faced based on the makeup of said identity. So it can be a coming together of lots of elements of who makes a person, really.
For me, kind of my understanding of intersectionality, it's all of the different facets and identities that you may have that live in conjunction, sometimes in conflict to one another, and how they kind of overlap, especially in the view of society and how other people perceive that.
Yeah, for me, it was really understanding the layers involved in people and individuals, and that we are at risk sometimes of kind of pigeonholing people because we're just looking at one characteristic or one visible characteristic potentially. And so for me, it was about unpacking those layers to individuals and thinking a bit more about not boxing people. And so that was something that came across really strongly.
Okay, great. What about you, Rebecca?
I think similar, really. I think there is a tendency to say, particularly, for example, when you're programming, to say, well, you're programming for this audience or that audience, rather than thinking, well, actually, as Hannah said, people are kind of, there's layers to people. It's not just their one thing or another. And I think, particularly in kind of the museum sector, there has been a tendency to put people in that box or in a box. And you need to think much more broadly than that.
Yeah, and it's important to notice that there's not like a monolith of an experience. It's not because you're a woman, every woman is experiencing the same thing, isn't it? So we get a bit more granular as well when we go through when we use an intersectional lens.